I'm Professor Chad Emmett from the Geography Department, and on behalf of the Middle East Studies Arabic program here at BYU and the David M. Kennedy Center, we welcome you to this film screening. We welcome our special guest, Iyad Burnat, who will be talking to you and then answering questions about this documentary that his brother filmed, but Iyad is the head of the Bil'in Popular Committee, a group in the village of Bil'in in the West Bank that have been using nonviolent resistance since 2005 in opposition to the wall that Israel has been building. By way of just introduction, I'd like to spend a few minutes, since I am a geography professor, looking at a map. Some of you I know have a lot of experience in the Middle East, but others may not. And just to put the film in a proper setting, I watched it a few weeks ago and enjoyed it very much. But I want to explain a little bit about the location of where all of this takes place. I don't know if there's is there a laser at all up here? Well, we're okay. Oh, here, I can use the, is there a laser? Oh, right here, okay, thank you. Okay, so Geography 101 of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. This is a map from Beit Tselem. It's an Israeli human rights organization, and you can see here this colored area is the West Bank. It was part of the state of Jordan up until 1967. In 1967, as a result of the Six-Day War, the state of Israel came in and took control of the West Bank. And in order to secure that territory, Israel then has had a policy since 1967 to move in and create settlements for Israeli citizens. And they started in the Jordan River Valley as kind of a protection from an invasion from the Kingdom of Jordan. But then they started to build settlements in blue throughout the West Bank, surrounding Jerusalem. And so all of the blue areas are territory within the West Bank that the state of Israel now controls. The tan areas are rural Arab Palestinian villages. The dark brown are Arab Palestinian towns in the West Bank, and you get this real mosaic of Israeli-controlled land and Palestinian-controlled land. The state of Israel, up until the takeover of the West Bank, at its narrowest point, it was only 9 miles wide, and so this was the border between Jordan and Israel. It's called the Green Line. But since then, Israel has claimed that it needs to hold on to the West Bank for security purposes. And so you have this land grab going on in the West Bank. Let me zoom in. Oh, wrong way. Maybe we'll get it to move a little bit in a minute. Here is the village that we're talking about today. Bil'in is this village right here, just a few miles from what was the Green Line, what was the border. But between 67 and now, Israel came in and built this large settlement called Modi'in Elite. Here is the Israeli town of Modi'in, and Modi'in's interesting because it gets its name or it's the town where the Hasmonean dynasty had its beginnings and where the Maccabean revolt started in protest of foreign occupation of the land of the ancient land of Israel. And so Modi'in is an Israeli town, but then the town of Modi'in Elite, or Upper Modi'in, was built on Arab lands in the West Bank. And you can see the settlements that were going in. In 2000, the Second Intifada erupted, and over the next few years, there were, I wrote down the number, 73 suicide bombings over a 3-year period where Palestinians would come across the border into Israel, blow up buses, hotels, nightclubs. And during those 3 years, 293 Israelis were killed, thousands were wounded. So Israel came in and built what it calls the security barrier, which follows this red line. And you can see that it jogs into the West Bank and takes additional lands. If Israel had built the security line just along the green line, the former border, if the wall had gone there, I don't think there would have been any concerns. But the problem is that the wall then jogged out and around Modi'in Elite so that that would then be on the other side of the wall with easy access to Israel. And in building that wall, then it jogged in towards Bil'in. And the protest is this wall here, the dotted line, took a lot of the agricultural land from the village. And so in 2005, the residents of Bil'in started to hold Friday afternoon protests, and the Israeli Supreme Court eventually said this wall was not needed for the security of Israel. They tore down the wall and moved it not just a few kilometers westward, but opened up more agricultural land for Bil'in. But it becomes a real battle, and so you'll see the villagers of Bil'in here, and then the settlement of Modi'in Elite here, and protest against the wall. So that's a little bit of background. I'd like to turn the time now over to Iyad to come up and explain a little bit about his involvement in this nonviolent protest in the making of the film, and then we'll start showing the film when he's done. If you have questions before the film starts, we can answer questions, and then the film runs for about an hour and 20 minutes or 90 minutes, and then there will be questions afterwards too. If you do need to go to a class at 4, you can slip out, but we'll be here till about 5 or so. But we'll now welcome Iyad to come up and explain a little bit about the movie before we watch it.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. I am Iyad Burnat from Bil'in village, small village west of Ramallah, 16 kilometers. I want to talk about the non-violent resistance in our village and why we started the non-violent resistance in our area, and why we make the movie Five Broken Cameras by my brother Iyad. So Bil'in is a small village. 1,900 people live in Bil'in. Most of the people is farmers. The land of the village is 4,000 dunums. The Israelis government confiscated 2,300 dunums from the land of the village. It's about 60% from the land. And this land is full of olive trees. That's what the farmers was used in their life. So in the beginning, they destroyed about 1,000 olive trees from the land to build the apartheid wall, as you see, and the settlement Mitityahu Mizrah. It's a new settlement. They start to build it after Modi'in Elite. That's, we have a new settlement. You didn't mention that they start to build it after 2003 on the land of Bil'in. And all these settlements between the green line and the red line that you see, they build it after Oslo Agreement. It's after 1993. So it means that the Israelis government didn't care for any agreements between the Palestinian and the Israelis. They didn't care for any international law. And we know that's also the High Court that said this is a illegal wall and the Israelis have to demolish it. But they continue to build this wall in our land and in other lands of the Palestinian. So between the green line and the red line, we have 6 kilometers. And these 6 kilometers is now full of the settlements around this area. For example, we have Modi'in Elite in that area. We have 50,000 people live in this settlement. And also the wall comes, where is the aquifer of the water of the Palestinian? So we have the big aquifer of the Palestinian in west of West Bank. That's where is our area from the north to the south. That's where the wall comes. And you see that the wall comes like snake to take more land and to come where is the quiver of the water of the Palestinian. So, for example, Mudain Elite and these settlements, they have the water 24 hours. And this is a Palestinian water. Thus, they steal this water and they give it to the settlements there, and they give us back, sell us back, one day in the week. And in summer times, in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, we have the water. So also this was the one of the goals of the wall. That's to confiscate more land from the Palestinian farm, to take the water, to build more settlements, and also to put the Palestinian in jail together. So now we didn't have a contact between the Palestinian villages and cities after the wall. And you have 12% from the land of Palestine, that's for the Palestinian now, and this 12%, they cut it to pieces. So for example, I never been in Jerusalem, and it's 25 kilometers from our home. If we want to go to Jenin area in the north, so it's easy for us to go to London than to go to Jenin, because it's take all the day, because many of checkpoints, many of the borders and settlements and the wall, you will find it in your way. So this was the bigger problem for the farmers in a small village, Bilayin, that they destroyed the life of the people there by destroyed the olive trees. So December 2004, they started to destroy the land, destroyed the olive trees of the farmers. The people didn't accept that. So without organizer, everybody go in the streets to fight against the bulldozers, try to stop them. And it was between December to February 2005 that the demonstration was every day. So in that time, we organized ourselves. We built a committee in the village to lead the people, and we decided to have our demonstrations every week, every Friday. So until now, we have, since 8 years until now, we have our demonstrations every week. Every Friday, we have international from all of the world participate with us in our actions. We have Israelis activists also who participate with us in our demonstrations every week. We use the non-violent way in our struggle. Every week we have a new idea to use. We follow the news in the world, we follow the political things, and we do our ideas against the wall and the settlement there. So we put ourselves in cages, for example, in front of the bulldozers. We put ourselves in barrels. We type ourselves in the olive trees. So we was fighting by our bodies. But in other side, we find a lot of violence from the Israeli soldiers. That's, they try to break us by many ways to stop us. They use many kinds of weapons against us. And this is really, when I say weapons or violence of the soldiers, it's really the message for the American people. That's most of these weapons comes from United States. The Israelis propaganda says this is tear gas and rubber bullet we use against the people. But it's really rockets. What they use against us in the demonstrations, it's really rockets. And you will see in the movie how they kill our friend Basim Abu Rahma by the tear gas canister. Tear gas is very heavy, very fast, black. You cannot see it when it comes to you. They have to shoot it in 500 meters in the sky. So what the Israeli soldiers do, they shoot it direct to the people in 20 meters, 15 meters. So we have 40 people was killed in non-violent demonstrations by this tear gas. We have many people injured by this tear gas, and they spend a lot of time under coma. Like our friend Tristan Anderson from California, that he was taking photos in the demonstration and he was shot in his head by this one. So he's in very bad situation now. He's in wheelchair, he's lost his eye, he cannot move. We have two friends from Japan, they lost their eyes. We have Israeli activists who's been injured by these weapons, and they in bad situation. So this is the tear gas and the rubber bullet. In Bil'in, we have 1,300 people was injured. We as international Palestinian Israelis activists. And also at night time, when you will see in the movie also, that the movie cover the story of the farmers that's suffering every day by the Israelis army because they want their land, because they want their freedom. So every day they was suffering and continue. There is non-violent struggle against the occupation and against the apartheid war. So I give you time to have questions and to see the movie that give you a story of the non-violent resistance in Palestine. Thank you.
I noticed that sometimes the villagers from Bil'in were passing pieces of paper to the soldiers. Can you tell us what those pieces of paper were?
Yes, it was every time that's to send message to the soldiers, sometimes to the Israelis people, sometimes because there is no contact between the Palestinian people and the Israelis people also. So we try to send messages by papers to Israelis people by our friends, Israelis friends who participate with us in our demonstration. That's our people. The message was talking about peace, and our people want peace. We can live together in peace, and we have it every Friday in Bil'in. That's we have Jewish people, Christian, Muslims, Palestinian, Israelis. That's every week living together on Friday, loving each other, and join each other in the demonstration, so we can live together in one state, one democratic state that everybody can have his freedom, his justice in this state. And also for the soldiers, that's after the violence of the soldiers against the children, especially against the children at night time, when they arrested them, they arrested about 150 from our children, and we talk about 13 and 14, 15 years old, and they spend in jail between 4 months to 18 months sometimes. They have to pay to the court a big amount of money each one. So we send a message to the soldiers that you destroyed the life of our people. So we can, you cannot do that of our people every day and every night. So this is what our message to the soldiers. And if you want to join us, you can join us. Take your guns, take your clothes, and come with us in a peaceful demonstration.
Hi, my name is Denise. Thank you so much for coming. And I'm wondering right now, how are your brothers and your family? Is everybody okay? Everybody well?
Yes, he's okay. He's, he's traveling, showing the film. Sometimes next week he will be in Los Angeles, but he's cannot work. He's cannot carry heavy things, but he's okay. He's continue filming in the demonstrations, and he's continue to show the movie around the world.
What exactly happened to your brother? What kind of physical harm came to him?
You remember in the movie that he's hit the wall by the tractor, and he's make accident. Where's the tractor when near the soldiers, where the soldiers was throwing tear gas in that area. So he's hit the wall and he's fall down. So when he's hit the wall, he's injured, badly injured. He was bloody inside. So they take him to Israeli's hospital, the soldiers there, by the Israelis ambulance, because it was close to Israel. If he's go to Ramallah, for example, the close hospital for Bil'in, it's take a long time, and he will died in the way there. So because this, they take him to Israeli's hospital, and they open his stomach because he was bloody inside.
What's the current situation with the settlement building? Because I heard that Netanyahu said that he was planning to build 5,000 more. I was just wondering, do you know like anything on the current situation of that?
Yes, it's the Israeli government never stop build new settlements or new houses in West Bank area. So now we have 500,000 settlers living in West Bank area, where is the 12% of the Palestinian land. We have 250 settlements inside of West Bank. But what Netanyahu talk about now in this time, after the Palestinian goes to United Nations, you know, he's planned to take a decision to build more settlements in Palestinian land in West Bank. So the last one, it was E1, the settlement E1. It's on the ground now, but he's want to build a new settlement called E1. It's behind of this settlement. So this settlement is very dangerous for the Palestinian because it's cut the north on the south. So the people from the north cannot go to the south. Like Jerusalem, they need permission to go from Ramallah to Bethlehem, for example, or from Jenin to Bethlehem, or to Hebron. So this is what the plan of the new settlements, what Netanyahu talk about. But our people, if you remember last week, they take a tent and they build a new village as Palestinian village there. It's called Bab al-Shams village. And after one night, just the Israelis attacked this village, they demolished the tents there, and they arrested 200 people from the tents. And you know, our activists, our people continue to make activists against, by non-violent way, against the roads of the settlements also. It's a Palestinian roads that the settlers attack these roads inside of West Bank, and they didn't let the Palestinian to go in these roads. So our people sometimes go and they close the roads by their bodies in some actions. So we have a lot of violence from the settlers also inside of West Bank against the farmers, against the people who's living there behind the settlements or near the settlements. And if you open the news in Palestine, in October, especially in October, November, the time of the olive harvest, you find every day that we have people killed or attacked by the settlers, or they burn the olive trees, or so every day. So they didn't want the farmers to go to their farms also. So we have a lot of problems from the settlers, and also all the settlers have guns, like the soldiers.
Like how was shown in the film with the lawsuit in the Israeli courts, are there any current legal channels that are being pursued to take back your land or to demonstrate further your need for your farming and your agriculture?
You mean why you continue or after the court?
Yeah, are there any further court matters being pursued?
No, you know, the Israeli court is part of the occupation. It's military court. Why you demolish the wall? We demolish the wall by our resistance. So all the villages around the wall, they go to the court by the law and by lawyers. But nothing happened for these villages. But in Bil'in, because we continue our struggle, we have all the media, many of the international famous people visiting Bil'in, they put pressure for the government, the Israeli government, to demolish this part of the wall. But also we didn't fight to remove the wall back 500 meters or 200 meters or to put it inside of the village. The wall, we have it in, we find it in many places that's surrounded between the children and the school, between the people and their farms, between the people and their families. So our goal, we against the walls. We didn't want to see walls. If we talk about peace, if we talk about equality and justice, it didn't have to be walls. It have to be bridges between us and between the Israeli people. So we didn't fight to remove the wall back 500 meters. First, we fighting for our freedom. And we didn't started to fight the occupation just in Belayeen. We are under the occupation since 65 years. So we have many activists we doing. I've been joined the first Intifada, for example. When I 17 years old, I've been arrested for 2 years. And it was non-violent way. We just was going in the demonstration outside with our friends in the school. So our goal to have our freedom, not to remove the wall back 500 meters. It's a big victory, yes, for a small village that they continue and they're fighting and they have many succeeds, not just to remove the wall. They also stopped 2,000 apartments in the settlement to build it. They also spread the message to many villages around. Now we have 20 places that's doing the same of Belayeen, weekly demonstration in non-violent way.
I have a couple questions. Hopefully they'll be pretty quick. First question, did any of the soldiers or any of the Israelis respond to, one, the notes that were passed by, or any of Adib's statements, or when he tried to get them to understand, like, this is our home, you're taking our children? Did any of the soldiers ever respond and, like, feel for you guys or try to help in any way? And then the second question is, how has the international interest in your brother's film impacted your voice, your struggle, and the surrounding villages?
Yes. First, the soldiers have a decision. In each demonstration, they just know how to attack the people in the demonstration. We never have any soldier come to our side from the soldiers who standing against us. But we have a small group from young that they refused to go to the army, and they put them in jail for 1 month or like this. And we have them participate with us in our demonstration, join us in Friday demonstration. But the soldiers that's standing every week against us, they didn't let them to be in contact with the people also. They didn't talk with the people. And also they changed them every 2 months or 3 months from the area. They didn't want them to be in contact with the people, just to attack the people. So about the movie, the movie is in Oscar now. So I think many people saw the movie. And this is our message, that's to get many people to saw this situation, the suffering of the farmers in Palestine. And this just case, as Belayeen village, a case of the non-violent demonstrations against the wall and the settlements around West Bank. So we have these stories in many places, that's farmers suffering every day, children, people who's lost their lands, people who have hard life every day because the wall and the Israeli army. So we hope that many people can saw this movie just to have more information about our struggle.
We'll take one more question.
My question is just, what do you feel like we as college students can do to help the cause? Like, I've done a little bit of research, and a lot of organizations suggest like boycotting Israeli companies to like lower their buying power, but I don't know. We feel like you have such a great cause, and we're so proud of how you're trying to do this peacefully. But how can we support you? How can we help the Palestinians in this way?
Yes, I think this is a good question, and this is our message. So as a Palestinian, we feel that America is part of the occupation. By sending the weapons, the companies, most of the companies, the American companies whose work in the settlements, in the wall, destroyed the life of the Palestinian, destroyed the land, it comes from United States. $3.5 billion a year, it goes to the Israeli army from the American people, from your tax. So we hope that as a Palestinian, if you want to boycott, if you want to do something for the Palestinian, you have to put pressure in your government to stop aid to Israeli occupation. Because you know, this support, this big support, and also from the political, that's the political things, that's all the political United States is support Israel. In United Nations, in the International Security Council, everywhere, by the veto. Also in the High Court. Everywhere we have America support Israel against the Palestinian. And this is what we feel as a Palestinian. So if you want to do something, you have to put pressure on your government to stop the aid to Israeli occupation. And thank you.
Dr. Heyer has one question.
Couple more.
That's okay. You have talked about the nonviolence that you're trying to pursue, but in the documentary, we saw a lot of rock throwing and other things. So where do you draw the line between nonviolent, peaceful demonstrations and violent demonstrations, even in minimum things like throwing rocks and stones? How do you keep the young kids from throwing rocks and try to get them to be just peaceful demonstrations?
Yes, it's in the non-violent way. It's not easy to keep the people every time quiet, especially when they have their friends being killed or injured or arrested. Especially when the soldiers attack the village, starting to throw tear gas inside of the houses, attack the village, or a big group of soldiers, jeeps. So you cannot keep all the people, the children, to throw stones to the soldiers. But we teach them every time that the Israeli soldier also like the violent. And they push the Palestinian many times to use the violent. And you saw that in the movie, that they was sending special forces in our demonstration, our side, to throw stones to the soldiers. In the big demonstration, or when we have international media or like this, they was send the special forces. And you saw when they arrested my brother, that special forces undercover, they was sending them to change the demonstration to violent. But every time we didn't have a group of soldiers that's to tell them go from here and they go. We deal with many people, with many ideas, with many thinking. So every time we teach our people to use the non-violent way. Our children like to throw stones. When they be angry, everybody, he cannot catch his angry when he saw his friend killed in front of him, or injured, or arrested. But sometimes we teach him. The soldiers like the rockets, so you can throw to them eggs, for example, or balloons of water, or balloons of shit. So this is, yes, sometimes we take the stone from the child and we give him balloon of shit to throw it to the soldier. So it's really hard, but you have to teach your people to use the non-violent everywhere. And we succeed. We succeed to, we have many of our children now, a lot of them, they believe in the non-violent way, because they know that a lot of them was arrested and they didn't throw stones. They just put them in jail for 6 months or 8 months, just when they bring 2 soldiers in the court to say we saw them throwing stones. So a lot of our people now believe, and also we teach, we give a training to other committees that's who starting in other villages in non-violent way.
Let me just ask this question. I read somewhere that the Israeli film producer who decided to work with Iyad to get the film produced, is that correct? That I can't remember his name.
Guy Davidi, yes.
Yes. That one of the reasons he decided he wanted to get involved was he wanted to be able to have this film shown in Israeli schools, and so that Israelis would be more aware of what's going on. What's your opinion? Do you think that the chances are good that this will happen, that it will actually be something that is viewed in schools in Israel, or do you think that's probably not going to happen?
Yes, we hope we will be happy if they show it in Israeli schools. And Guy Davidi showed it once in high school in Israel, and it was a good response from the students there that they didn't believe there is soldiers doing this for the Palestinian. They didn't know about the situation there in the wall. They are against the wall. So it was a good response from the students in Israel after they see the movie. So, but it's, you know, it's difficult sometimes because the government didn't, there is no contact. And the media control all the Israelis people. That's they didn't let them to show the movie more. So we show it in Jerusalem 2 times and in high school once by Guy David.
I would like to thank. Yes. Oh, I'm sorry.
I have one question.
I want to thank Mahan for coming, driving Iyad here, and Mahan represents the Yukons for Just Peace and Holiness, the organization as well.
Thank you. Also, I'd like to let you know there's some literature on a table right outside, which you're welcome to take. So it's free. It's for your education. I do have one question. With the continued divisions and taking more and more of the land and the complete control of the water in the West Bank that the Israelis exert, we hear talk of a 2-state solution. I wonder if you feel that that's still possible, and if it's not possible, what type of a solution do you see?
I answered this question too early, but we can replay this. That's no choice for 2 states in Palestine after the settlements, the wall, the attack. We have 6 checkpoints in West Bank. We have 250 settlements. We have 500,000 settlers. The Palestinian cities, no contact between the Palestinian cities. They cut it to pieces. So there's no choice for 2 states now. And we cannot talk about 2 states. So the only way that we can have it and we work for it is the 1 state, 1 democratic state. Everybody can live in this state with equality, with peace, with freedom, and to be a democratic state, yes.